Okay, here's a problem that you may have seen on a quiz or you may have seen as an assignment in your text. And the problem is that there's a point at 2, 1, and there is a line through that point such that we have a triangle that is passing through that point and using the x and y axis as its legs. And if that is the case, and I just think about that as some general line, and the line, so we don't know where the line is. The line could be here, the line could be here, the line could be anywhere, okay? So if that is the case, then we would refer to this point as point 0y, and we would refer to this point down here on the x-axis as point x0. And what we want to know is, what is the area of the triangle? Now, of course, the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. And since we're using the x and y axis, we have a right angle here. So our base is going to be the, let's say that our base is going to be the x-axis. That's going to be our base. And our height is going to be on the y-axis. Therefore, we can take this area equation here and we can advance it a little bit and say that the area of the triangle is equal to 1/2 x, whatever this x is. Now, let's go ahead and call this x1, and we'll see why I want to do that later on. And then we want to go times the height. Well, what we need to do at this point is an instruction is we want to find the area of the triangle, and we want to do it in terms of x. So that would be another additional instruction here. So what to do now? I need to get this height here. I need to get this h in terms of x. Now, someone might want to take the next step and say, well, I don't know about x, but I do know that the height is y. Okay, well, that's taking a step, but I need to, in order to answer the question, finding the area of the triangle in terms of x, I need to find out what that y is in terms of x. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to a blank page here, and on this page I'm going to say what I know is that I've got y. Let me try that again. I've got y equals mx plus b. Now notice that when I was back here, I said that this x here, that x there, I called it x1. All right, so I'm making a distinction between this x1, which is some x-intercept, and this x here is just the general x of some linear equation. So they are different x's, and that was kind of a useful distinction that I made there. Now, so there's some line, y equals mx plus b, that goes through point 2, 1, that given point, and it goes through point x1, 0. Well, if it goes through those points, then the slope of that line is change in y, which is y minus 0, over the change in x, which is 2 minus x. So I can rewrite this as y equals 1 over 2 minus x is the slope, times x, and this is an x1, right? So I want to be clear about that. That x1 is there, which is there. Okay, so those are all x1s, which is just a label that I'm using for some specific x that is creating an x-intercept. Now, and you can see why that's important that I use this x1 all along, because now I've got x1 and x, and those are different. Those are two different things. I don't want to think that those are the same thing. So I've got 1 over 2 minus x1 times x, and then plus b. All right, well, what do I do when I want to find b? We've done this before since algebra. We have found b, and how have we found b since algebra? We've taken the known point and we've plugged that in for the general x and y. Remember that? So let's do that. And what happens then is I get 1 is equal to 1 over 2 minus x1 times the x, which is 2, plus b. Do you see that? Now, can you see what's going to happen next? I've got this equation with an x1 and a b. And back here, I know that my b, which is the y-intercept of that equation, is going to give me my y, because the y is the y-intercept here. The b is the y-intercept in my equation. Do you follow that? So see if you can follow that. If you don't, stop and think about it for a half minute and see if you can make sense of it. And let's go back. Now I'm going to solve for b. So I'll just go here and say b is equal to 1 minus 2 over 2 minus x1. All right, if you try and cancel these two 2's, I'm kicking you out of the class. Can't cancel those. Let's go ahead and simplify this a little bit, though. If I get a common denominator of 2 minus x1, and then I'll have minus 2 over 2 minus x1, and then I can do 2 minus 2 up here, so I've got negative x1 over 2 minus x1. All right, and now we've got it, right? So there's b, and that's the height, because that's the y-intercept. So I can take that negative x1 over 2 minus x1, and I can plug it in back here, because this y is the same as the y-intercept, which is the same as the b, which is the height that I'm looking for. So it's all done. I just need to substitute it in. What was it? It was, so I've got A of the triangle, the area of the triangle, is 1/2 x1 times negative x1 over 2 minus x1. There. Now I've got the area in terms of x. And I'm calling it x1, but that was just a choice that I made to call that x1. Let me just make sure. Negative x1 over 2 minus x1, negative x1 over 2. So we're done. All right, so look it over and see if you understand it, and if you could do this problem if I gave you different numbers, and certainly understand the idea of being able to generalize things and talk in terms of variables without using specific numeric values.